Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week, another episode 108 of Total Male Introspective, a.k.a. the TMI Podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm JC.
What's up? Jonesy here.
And every week, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we hit you guys with some hot topics, some discussion points, stuff that's going on in the world, our opinions, our viewpoints. We try to keep it civil. We want you guys to join the discussion. We want you to hit us with the comments on Facebook or wherever you're watching, Instagram. Oh, snap. I forgot to get Instagram on tonight. Oh well. It hasn't been working lovely anyway. My bad, guys. If you're trying to watch on Instagram, you can't hear me anyway. Make sure you guys check us out. We have our podcast available. If you guys can't listen to us live, that's on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all of those, Google Podcasts, all those fancy places, iHeart. And on Facebook, we're facebook.com/the TMI Podcast, Twitter @the TMI Podcast. And if you want any of our links and you can't remember that, go to Linktree/the TMI Podcast, linktr.ee/the TMI Podcast. We also have a Patreon, which we would like you guys to check out. That is Patreon, patreon.com/the TMI Podcast. You guys can throw us a couple bucks if you want, $5, $10, $20 a month to help us make the show better and do more positive things for you guys. So, with all that said, I think I covered all the bases besides putting us on Instagram this evening. You guys mad at me? You gonna forgive me? Gonna forgive me? I think we'll be okay. We'll start off with a little good news as we usually do. And Jonesy and I have been talking about this. JC is on the West Coast, so he's not having as much of an issue. Or you're having more of an issue, aren't you? You're more locked down than we are, right?
I mean, we're never really locked down, but things are kind of bubbling up now, I would say.
Okay. Well, we're excited that New York didn't do this, but our surrounding states are going to open the movie theaters in the next couple of weeks. And Jonesy and I do a lot of movie watching together. And Tenet, we've been dying to see Christopher Nolan's Tenet, and it will be in theaters September 3rd. And so we're going to have to get tickets because it is 50% capacity, so it's going to sell out even faster. Might have to kill somebody for a pair of tickets, but we're going to make it happen. Jeez. We know where to put the body.
Wait, so AMC's, they're doing like 15-cent movie tickets or something like that, right?
Really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, 15 cents.
Yeah, it's like to celebrate their like anniversary. I don't know if it's like 50 years, 100 years, something like that. But it's 15-cent movie tickets. But it's funny though because like you're paying 15 cents for a movie ticket, but then like popcorn's gonna be like $10 and a soda's gonna be like $8, and so.
Yeah, it's a 50 spot before you walk away from the concession stand if you're with your family.
Definitely, and for a quarter more, you can get a large.
They get me every time.
Every single time.
And then I gotta pee. Every time I'm like, yeah, you know what? I want the super barrel jug of diet soda, and then. Halfway through the movie, I'm like, bad idea. Now I gotta pee. I gotta go pee. Running. I'm one of those psychos that runs through the freaking theater
Isn't there an app that tells you the best time to go pee during a movie?
Yes, the Pee app.
Isn't it called the Pee app?
Yeah, it was like a lifesaver when I was watching Marvel's last installment of the Avengers because it was 3 hours, and so it told you like when was the ideal like time to go to the bathroom.
That's a keeper. I like that. Keeper right
That's
there.
a great app.
Yeah. Especially for you two who are avid moviegoers.
Yeah. So what other positive news we got? Anybody else?
Yeah, with the return of sports comes the return of fantasy sports. Fantasy football is my jam, is my favorite. But if you do fantasy basketball and fantasy baseball, it's not my jam, but I'm sure you guys are very happy about that. Fantasy football wise though, check it out in the comments. Or message us in the comments. What is your league doing to kind of combat COVID and help your league to continue when eventually people go down for COVID? on your fantasy football leagues?
I can chime in real quick. We're adding a second IR spot in one of
Okay, second IR spot.
like essentially like a COVID IR, which will work a little bit differently than the normal IR. I guess you can
Really? So is it COVID specific? There is
no.
I doing that.
I think that
baseball. Yeah, Yahoo's given. There's like COVID designation. So I'm playing baseball this year, and there is COVID. Like instead of having like IL or suspension, they also have COVID.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Yeah. Does it work the same way as an IR though?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's cool. I mean, there's also leagues adding bench spots. There's also leagues that have just foregone doing a live draft and a full team draft, and they're just going to designate doing daily fantasy sports on FanDuel or DraftKings. And do like $10 a week or $20 a week or something like that. So check us out and write in the comments what your league is doing.
Yeah,
we also had a stipulation that if for some reason the season gets canceled, we just wash the whole season and it's a restart because we have a keeper league. So we're restarting the whole thing over.
Well, that's a good question. Is there a point of no return? Is there a point after if it gets canceled before week 6, does everybody get their money back? Or after week 6, if they don't get to the championship, then the top 3 teams or whoever made the playoffs just split the money. Is there a point of no return?
Yeah, well, I think it has to be week 11 or 12 or maybe week 10, because ideally what you want to happen is that you have at least played every single team in the league. So
that's true.
So then you're going to be like, okay, hey, yeah, I have the best record amongst our team. As a complete fantasy football degenerate, and all 8 of my leagues were still running strong. And
I have like 5, and I think that's overkill. 8.
Okay, let's just say 8, and I've cut back.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I'm in 3. I've actually cut back on a lot of the little ones. I have 3 pretty major ones, like major as far as like how much money I'm putting in to the leagues. That's how I count if it's a big league or if it's a small league. Not really the amount of players or the skill level or anything, just how much money I put in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having 8 leagues, it just gives me better possibilities, because if Derrick Henry for some reason decides to destroy me during the fantasy football championship, I have Zeke on another league or I'll have him in another league, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So are you always rooting for yourself, or are you always rooting against yourself? You never know.
No, I'm like the red zone. I'm cheering for everything.
Every score.
What I do, since I have 4 or 5 leagues, is I don't check my scores or who I have played, because I can't keep track of everybody that I have in the lineup every week. So I will just not check the scores until the end of the first game, or like maybe halftime if I'm feeling frisky. But I'll just not look, because you're like, oh, let me just keep checking, keep refreshing. I'm like, forget it. I'm just gonna watch the game, and then I'm like, oh, I do have him. That's good for me, but it might not be good for me in my other league. So it's
I gotta find a way. I gotta find a way to get Red Zone again, because I don't have NFL Network anymore. But I'm sure I'll end up purchasing it once football starts again.
Well, I have Red Zone, so.
Well, you need to find a nice college student to give you their Red Zone deal. It's $60 for 2 years of Red Zone.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Why a college student? Is that like a student deal or something?
It's a student deal. So Jenna Fields, if you're listening to this, thank you so much.
That's great.
Yeah.
Got the hookup.
Yeah. So I got some good news. I am going to be on another podcast. Recording tomorrow night. It's called The Bodega Body. It's by Rich Sabata, who's a coworker of mine. He has a podcast coming out of the Bronx, so that should be a lot of fun. We're gonna do some cross promotion, and shoot the shit and talk about weight loss journeys, staying fit, and how to eat healthy out of a bodega.
Awesome.
Eating healthy, feeling the flow.
Eating healthy out of the bodega, that's got to be tough.
Dude, I can, like, the bodega eating is sometimes some of the greatest meals in the world. For $5 back when we were in college, you could get a buffalo chicken cheesesteak, some French fries, a bag of chips, and a soda, and change also at that, because the thing came out to like $4.50. Now that is a deal, but my body has probably died a little bit every single time since I've eaten at Philly Cinch.
Well, I think I think a lot of it had to do with the drinking the night before. However, yes, I think the bodega had a hand in that as well.
Are you kidding me? The drinking the night before, we were like, we always make sure our bellies were coated. We had some substance in there just so we weren't too sick, because those wine races, they would kick your ass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Jungle Juice trash can in the frat parties could probably cure COVID. So, yeah.
So, do you guys want to jump on discussing the thing we were talking about before about North Korea? Should we drop that?
Oh yeah, I have so many questions.
Okay, so let me intro this. So apparently, Kim Jong-un, there's a report coming out of North Korea, which is surprising in itself because it's North Korea and nothing comes out of North Korea.
Besides missiles.
Yeah, besides missiles. Apparently, Kim Jong-un is taking everybody's dogs away from them. Apparently, he sent out something off the news that all dogs have to be taken from their owners and sent to the capital for some odd reason. And Joe, I don't know if you want to take it from here.
There's been theories that since there's a food shortage, this is not my words, this is what I've seen theorized out there in the world of social media. And stay tuned, we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of social media shortly. There's theories that since there's a food shortage, the rich people want to take the dogs and eat them because they have less food. So they're like, well, there's some free food there. So that's been getting thrown around.
All dogs don't go to heaven.
In North Korea, all dogs go on the dining room table, I guess.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez, that's tough. That's rough. How can a dictator not
dictator? You've already answered your question.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But seriously, you're a leader of a country and you can't feed your people or don't want to feed your people and you expect them to worship you. That seems a little convoluted, but okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. But hey, they don't seem to do things the way we do over here. Well, there was another theory or maybe something he said, I don't want to misquote, but something along the lines of having dogs as pets is a Western culture thing, and he doesn't want them to emulate Western culture.
Oh, so he's spinning it like our current president would have.
Yeah.
To fit his own agenda.
Mm.
Yeah,
but it's another topic for another day, I guess.
Presidents, let's get Joe all riled up. So, what do you think about the DNC last night?
I didn't. I'm trying to stay stress-free, man. I don't want to watch the Liars Convention. The Liars Convention Part 2 coming up when the Republicans do it. So, I can't do it all the time, man. I got to take a break sometimes.
Yeah, but this is like a big one. I mean, it's the convention.
They're all full of it.
Every talking head from the Democratic Party has to get a shot at, speaking to the people.
You know how crazy the world is right now? The amount of Republicans that spoke last night is insane. Republicans speaking at Democrat national conventions. That's what we want, right? We want bipartisanship.
Yeah. I mean, it's all a waste of time. It's all a waste of time and energy because Trump's going to win by a landslide. So
you got to be kidding me.
Oh, by far. You guys you're in for it.
I would be willing to place a bet that Trump does not win by a landslide.
He's going to win by a lot.
Okay. I
After the
don't even.
debates, he's going to win by a lot.
I don't
Okay.
trust any of the polls. I don't trust any of the media when it comes to their polls and their research and stuff like that, because they were so wrong about Hillary. But what I do trust is the Vegas odds makers. They almost always get it right, and that's their job to get it right. So what does Vegas say about this? Who's going to win the presidential election?
I don't know. But here, how about this? Joe, why don't we do a little bet on the show?
Okay.
The loser, right, has to eat a ghost pepper chip on air.
Put it on the board.
The thing is, just so everybody's aware, I'm not voting for Trump. So I'm voting for Joe Jorgensen, the libertarian.
No,
I just think that Trump's going to win.
Trump's going to win. So
you don't have to be a fan of a team to still bet on them.
Yes.
That is a valid point. So that is a good point because that's where I'm at.
You don't have to be a fan of a team. I would bet on the Cowboys when they're playing Miami Dolphins. I hate the Cowboys.
So Vegas has Biden at negative 145.
Okay, so they have Biden as the favorite.
Until the debates. Wait until that happens. There will be some adjustments.
So can you lock that in? You can lock that in now. I'm sure the line is going to move later.
Josie, you see how he's avoiding accepting the offer?
How about after the first debate, we'll discuss if you want to continue.
I kind of see this. I kind of see this.
That Biden is going to lose by a landslide. So
how about if Biden pulls out of all the debates, it's a null and void bet?
Biden pulls out of all the debates. I don't think he has the ability to do so. I don't know if he will. Yeah, I think he's got to do at least one.
Yeah. Well, we have taken too much time with our intro. We're going on 20 minutes. We got to get to the meat and potatoes.
Hot topic.
All right, guys. Social media, the pros, the cons, the impact on society. You're all watching us on some form of social media. You found us on some form of social media, or you're just friends with us and you support us or family because we love you guys. Thank you so much. But social media, pros and cons. Jonesy had a brain dump into the notes for this. So I'm going to let you take the reins and start us off with whatever talking point you think is a good start, Jonesy.
Yeah, so I kind of just took all the stuff that I was thinking about when I think about social media. Social media is like a gift and a curse, and there's no in between. It's either really, really awesome or really, really bad. And for all intents and purposes, it's really about how you use social media. So, for example, when I go on social media, in general, I'm looking for my friends and family to see what's going on, to see what they're doing, to see what they're thinking about, what's going on in their lives. You know, pictures of family, pictures of their trips and things like that. Now, that is a gift and a curse because I feel more connected to my friends, and I feel more connected to those around me, but am I really as connected as I probably should be or as I want to be? Does that fill that need for human connection that we need as a culture, as a human basic need, that need of connection? And I could argue, you could argue either way. For some people, it's enough. But for most people, I would argue that no, it's not enough, that you need a better way in order to contact your friends and family. And that's why you need to do it in real life. So, for example of this, when I look at my news feed, I'll look at Joe's and I'll look at JC's news feed. And most of the time, it's a lot of funny memes that we love passing and forth to each other. It's about their families and things like that. And I get that social, and I get that top part of their social experience. But as I go deeper, as I call them, as I make contact via text or make contact via the phone call or go visit them, you find out other things are happening in their lives. You find out that stuff on social media, it doesn't really tell the whole picture. And I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I agree. It's got its pros. It's got it. I feel like what you're describing is what it was in, like the initial intention. It evolved into something else. It was intended to keep track of your friends and family and stay connected in that way. And then when people realize they can use it to benefit themselves commercially or politically, it took off into different directions, which now we are inundated with ads. We are inundated with political lefts and rights, pun intended, I guess. And it has become a beast that is almost unbridled. And their attempts to bridle it now or censor it have actually created even more division, because they're kind of just making it up as they go along with the censorship. And I've gotten banned for some silly stuff. They're putting it all in the hands of AI and algorithms instead of having someone actually reviewing information and taking a look at what you might have said, which I get. They have hundreds of millions of users, so it's almost impossible for them to review everything. So they have to have algorithms to do it. But yeah, it is now evolved into this whole other entity that literally makes the world go round. People get their news from social media, which is why the fake news is such an issue, or the misinformation is such an issue, because it's the speed of the information, as we said in our media bias episode. Everything's moving so fast. So it's not just the pictures of your friends and family and, oh, you had a nice trip to Jamaica, Joe. How'd it go? Like none of that. It's just, I mean, yes, there is that, but now that gets lost in the wash a lot. It tends to be supplementary to the real main things that are going on, and they are JC getting kicked out every 10 seconds. You good over there, pal?
Yeah, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that it's evolved into this big thing where it's built for commercial use now, and businesses are on it, and they're trying to make money off of you by either showing ads to you or selling your data and things like that. And first of all, it didn't start off as a friends and family thing. It started off as students. Mark Zuckerberg trying to get laid in Harvard.
Easy killer. MySpace. MySpace started it off. So just all
right. Well, yeah. Okay. We can.
Got to give Tom his credit. All right.
All right. We can give Tom his credit, but Tom didn't evolve with the times, and he got left behind.
Yeah, with $100 million paycheck. Didn't he get paid a ton of money?
What's better, $100 million or $100 billion, brah?
I wouldn't care at this point. At the $100 million mark, do you really give a crap?
Yeah. So I mean,
What did you miss, JC? JC, for those of you listening on the audio side of things, JC was cutting in and out on his feed, so he had to. He's missed it a little bit. But we're talking about how it evolved from friends and family, and now it's become this commercial and political giant machine. And the friends and family are kind of like secondary to all the other stuff that's going on.
Yeah. And, my mom and my dad are on social media, and they're on Facebook primarily just to see that kind of stuff. And they don't really comment on the political stuff, and they could care less. Most of my uncles and aunts are on it as well. Some politically, some not. Some just want to see pictures of the kids and see what we're doing and stuff like that. But it's become this place where it was meant as cool. Let's stay connected to, you don't think the way I think, so screw you. I'm blocking you. And guess what? I'm never going to talk to you in real life ever again either. And that's, we kind of talked about that in the cancel culture. And our first episode was really, how do we talk to each other? Not only on social media, but in real life, in this era of protests, in this era of COVID, in this era of social activism that's so prevalent right now. How do we still have conversations with that stuff and not talk at each other through comments, but actually have general conversations about the way we think. And I've stopped going back and forth on comments. I might make 2 comments and then I'll just say, screw it. I'm not going to comment again. Or my latest thing that I love is, wow, you sound really passionate about this. Why don't you come on the TMI podcast and we can talk about it further? All of a sudden, they don't want to talk.
Crickets.
All of a sudden, they don't want to talk anymore. So that's another thing that we can get into, how people get angry and how people just yell at each other. And then all of a sudden I see them in real life. I'm like, so what's up, bro? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't remember all that F you and you're racist and I hate you and screw you and you don't think the way I think anymore. And it's just become this forum where people can just say whatever they want and have no consequences for it.
It's dehumanized. It's become dehumanized. It was supposed to be a human connection thing, and now it's almost dehumanizing because people, like you said, people commenting at each other. I just had this happen to me the other day. Someone tagged me in one of their friends' posts and said, "What do you think about this?" And I shared my thoughts, and the original poster did not like my opinion, and sent a world of trolls over to my personal page and found every public post I ever had and started just ripping into me and just trolling all my public posts. So I had to turn all my public posts to private and delete their comments because I was like, what kind of a-hole are you that you need to get mad at me on one post and then go on my page and go and attack me on my posts? That big thing I read about the 2-party system when we did our 2-party system episode. Yep. That post, someone went on and said, "This is complete fiction," and then went on to tell me how I'm an idiot and I don't understand how government works. And I was like, "What part of that?" Cool. And then they were like, "Oh, you said this and you said that." I'm like, "No, you disagree with my opinion." So it doesn't mean that what I said was fiction. It means that you want it to be fiction, but it's not. It's just my opinion based on the information I have. Right. And I hate to say this to you guys, but it tends to be people on a certain side, on the far side of that certain side, that get real aggressive. The people that are the most tolerant tend to be the ones that are the most douchebaggery when it comes to disagreeing.
It's definitely on both sides.
Yeah, it's definitely worse on the right and the left.
It's way worse on the left. It's way worse.
No. I had a guy tell me on social media that there is an acceptable amount of kid death in America when it comes to sending kids back to school. There's an acceptable amount of kid death. That 3,000 kids, they can die. It's all good. I'm like, what? Do you hear yourself? And that and that is definitely a far right person.
Well,
this is probably someone who doesn't have kids either.
Actually, I asked him that, and I said, what if it's your kid? He said, I don't have kids. I was like, and that's when I stopped commenting.
Ding. You know not what of you speak, butthead.
Yeah, that's when I stopped commenting. I'm like, all right. This is useless. Like I said, I only comment like twice and then I let it go. But it happens on both sides where people are
I'm not saying it doesn't. I tend to get into it more with people I find people are more attacking of your character on the left. They will switch the gear to name calling and being, or the far left, I should say. And saying, I feel bad for your kids. You're probably a terrible parent if this is your opinion. I mean, just like some really horrible things. I've had people turn around and say, "Oh, who's that fat bitch in your picture?" About my wife. Meanwhile, my wife's not fat. So I'm like, "Oh, who's that fat bitch in your profile picture?" I'm like, first of all, what is wrong with you? Why would you say something like that to somebody? And this brings us back to what you were saying before about social media being different than when you see someone in person. Try saying that to me in a crowded bar. about my wife standing next to me and see how many teeth you leave with. I'm not a guy that goes hitting people like that, but like say that about my wife in front of me to her or me in a bar when you just met me. I'm not gonna knock your teeth out, possibly. Chances are.
And I think it's also who you kind of, because most of the time when you post something or you're commenting more conservative and more conservative views, even though you are a libertarian. You're more on the conservative side than myself, because I have the same experience, but with people on the right, because most of my stuff that I post is primarily liberal. And so I find that most of the people that comment on my stuff and want to attack my character and tell me I'm stupid and I'm a snowflake or go back to your safe space, it's from the people on the right. And that's because those are the people that would attack my character. They wouldn't attack your character because you're most of the time posting conservative stuff.
I don't say I pick and choose on each individual topic. I think that's the difference between me and others is I will pick my opinion based on each item. I won't let a party decide for me how I feel about guns or gay rights or marijuana legalization or abortion. I'm not going to be like, well, the party says so. So I guess you see it as more right. I don't. I guess I can see where you're coming from. I tend to attack.
Yeah, but more of where I know you do the same thing that I do as far as like I'm going to take each individual thing and decide. But most of this, like, being a gun owner is more of a right thing, and wanting less government is more of a right facing thing. You know what I mean? Even though that's we may agree or disagree on certain topics, it's more you tend to have topics more on the conservative side.
All right.
I also just think that it's the fact that, we kind of always go down this rabbit hole of talking politically, or you could just have it between people are just being douchebags and that's just who they are and that's their common nature. It doesn't matter if they're right or left. So anyway, True. Switching gears, when it comes to Facebook and we're talking about like real life, I don't think I've ever done a Facebook purge, but I have like 2,000 friends on Facebook and I'm like, who the F are these people? Like honestly, it's just like you meet someone like once and you're just like, oh, we gotta be Facebook friends now. I'm just like, you know what? We actually gotta like hang out like maybe twice, and then like we can start initiating, that Facebook relationship that's going on there. Because you like getting back to what the root of Facebook is, or social media in general, is just kind of establishing those connections. One thing about COVID has been nice is the fact that, being able to reconnect with individuals that you haven't been able to talk to in a while. I think that's been like great to have, but, with social media, like, we need to stop like just getting on people because they posted something that you didn't like,
Yeah. Well,
come at it.
We've been saying that here. We've been saying that here about the approach to discussion. No, I agree with you. I'm sorry, JC. Good.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, just grow a pair or expose your vulva and, talk with some like conviction and come from a different perspective. Make me want to understand why I am wrong. And if I am wrong and you can convince me, I will admit that I am wrong.
I do that too. You guys have both seen me do it. I try to I'll switch gears or I'll change my viewpoint if someone can convince me otherwise. So that means I guess that proves I'm listening to other people, whereas a lot of people just wait for
I will say though, Joe, that I do agree with you that Kevin Hart is probably one of the worst comedians.
How he made that all-time list, just like you saw that?
That was an all-time. Yeah,
it was an all-time black comedian list with Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Chappelle,
Chris Rock. There's a whole bunch of people on there, and then kick one out.
And everybody was like, Kevin Hart. Like, why? I think they just ran out of spaces to fill the
See,
meme.
I like Kevin Hart in isolation, but then when you compare him to all of those greats, it's like
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. I mean, the GOAT.
The thing about Kevin Hart is that the fact that his comedy doesn't transcend time. So, like, if I look at Chappelle's skits from the 90s, like, it holds up still today. You look at Pryor, you look at Eddie Murphy, holds up today. If I see if I see Kevin Hart, it's just like, oh, okay.
He tends to be a one-trick pony, in my opinion. He's kind of got the same thing over and over. He doesn't really reinvent himself at all. And anyway, we've gone down a rabbit hole. We got to get back on track. Yeah. So, social media, the pros and cons. How about mistakes? Let's jump on the mistakes. Social media can now make or break people. You can make a living just being popular on social media. You can make millions of dollars and live in a nice house and drive a nice car and be financially stable, have your kids be financially stable, send them to whatever college you want, even set them up in a nice, beautiful life. Or you can get all that and then say the one wrong thing or one typo, one thing that can get you fired or canceled. So there's something I'm going to put up here that we'll let JC read for safety's purposes.
Yeah, for non-canceling purposes.
All right. Okay, so the other day, the Charlotte Hornets were playing, and their play-by-play announcer, John Falk, sent out a tweet where he mistakenly changed the name of the Denver Nuggets. So what we're showing right now is shot making in this Jazz N-word game is awesome. Murray and Mitchell going back and forth. What a game. This was clearly
a typo
and a bad example of spell check going wrong, because I can't tell you how many times I meant the F word and it came out ducking you, but
every time, just about.
Yeah. And so this person's life
might bounce back.
His feet are being held to the fire because of a typo. And we're so quick to jump on the fact that he made an error. I'm not sure if he apologized or.
He did immediately within minutes. He said, "I had a typo in my last tweet. I apologize. I don't use that word." And anybody that's worked with him said he's not that guy. He's not that guy. Let's not do this to him. But and speed of information on social media, whoosh, his whole life's on fire now because of the U and the I are next to each other, and the T and the R is next to each other on the keyboard. So people were saying it was autocorrect. Autocorrect will not do that. Not that word. I don't think autocorrect does that word.
I think the fear of it and the investigation is going to start with how did it autocorrect to that word?
Well, he said it didn't autocorrect. He said he just clicked he was just typing. He was typing during the broadcast, I think.
Oh yeah, I've done that before where I type really fast.
Keyboard, like seeing the letters, I'm like, okay, U is close to I. And then you got like Nuggets, so GG, and then E after, and then the R close.
I'm going with his colleagues saying that that's not the guy he is, and that he immediately apologized. I mean, if you're going to turn around, what broadcaster would type that in their right mind? Nobody. Clearly, it was a mistake. I mean, the guy knows how things work these days. It's 2020. I mean,
you've never followed an Alabama game then on Twitter.
Well, I mean, this is a professional sportscaster who's calling one of the games, wasn't he? He was calling a game.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this proves that little mistakes can make or break you via social media. I mean, look at this whole conspiracy theory, or less conspiracy nowadays, but with the Pizzagate and that stuff, and then Chrissy Teigen had to go delete 60,000 tweets because she felt that it could ruin her with stuff that she had said. 60,000. I mean, first of all, if you have to delete 60,000 tweets, you were probably saying some stuff you shouldn't have been freaking saying.
I would probably. I'm like, if you got to delete 60,000, that's more.
John Falk is over here
problem like, with you.
I had one bad tweet, guys. I'm really, really, really sorry. It was a typo, and everybody's like, burn him to the ground. Chrissy Teigen's like, hold on, guys. Give me 3 days to delete 60,000 tweets. Don't worry. I'm still good, though. Like, are you, though? Are you good? You have to delete 60,000 tweets to avoid getting character defamation? Like,
well, I mean, it was like, I think she was like on the, like, a lot of them were responding to people who were like bashing her on social media, though.
I mean, like we were saying before, Jonesy was saying, like, sometimes you chime two or three responses and let it stop. I think a lot of people have to take notes. Like, don't just keep engaging with the nonsense. I said to some guy the other day, clearly we're not going to change each other's minds. Yeah. So let's just depart amicably from this conversation and move on. And that's when they went over and started attacking my page personally. I was like, wow. So I asked for you to depart the conversation amicably, and you went to my page to continue it. So that's great. That's nice.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Another thing with social media that we should talk about is kids, younger kids, not understanding how life works yet, and being so hung up on trying to get the likes or become popular or go viral that they're doing insane things. Do it for the gram, do it for the Vine back in the day. People were doing these challenges. So the boiling water challenge was like a few years ago, where people were pouring boiling water on their sleeping friends, and the kids were going to the hospital. Like oh god, what? Just insane stuff going down. Insane stuff. So that's another con, is that these people kids are so enticed by the idea of getting likes or getting popular but going viral that they're willing to try anything. It's almost like a drug. I mean, it is. A lot of people are addicted to it. So
it literally is a drug. And I think, like, you know, Instagram is doing the right thing by getting rid of like the like buttons so that people can't see how many likes that you received. That doesn't mean don't like our page, but, you know, still do that. But
you mean like other people?
Yeah, so like you won't be able to see how many people have liked my image. You could like it, but only the person who is like the owner of the image would see the likes at the end of the day. So they rolled this out in Australia at first, and then they slowly been rolling it out across the world. But they found that people are happier because they don't feel the need to have to impress people, because, you know, for the most part, everyone is living a fictionalized lifestyle, like when they are on social media. So, you know, you like for every one photo that is posted on the gram, there's probably, you know, 50 photos that they took just to try to get that right image. And you know, people
100 if it's a woman.
Excuse me?
100 if it's a woman.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay. But you know, like, no one's going to be out there posting like, oh, my life is so I mean, some people do, but like for the most part, most people aren't going to be like posting like, oh, like, you know, I'm so broke, I have to like eat ramen noodles right now. Here's my ramen snacks, unless they're like trying to do it in a, like, you know, a funny manner. So
all right, let's move on to the next part that we had here. I had some other information here. Oh, this is what I want to say. People getting their news. It's the evolution of social media has become where people get their information. I'm guilty of it, but I do research and double check sources, and I check other sources. But this was let me see this. Let's pop this up. So this is where most Americans get their news, and it's broken down by age demographics. So if you look at the people getting the news from TV, if you look at the age demographics, 18 to 29 is only 27%, 30 to 49 is 45%. So it's phasing out, because the 65 and older crowd get their news almost 85% from television. So it's social media. If you look, the numbers are reversed here. It's the 65 and over get it from about 20% of their news, and then the 18 to 29 get 50% of their news.
Right.
And so the trend is going in the opposite directions for online and for TV. And so in 10 years, 20 years, we're going to be at a point where TV news is almost obsolete if it's even existing anymore. So we've gotten to a point where social media doesn't only evolve the arguments and the personal relationships into positive or negative places. It's creating a entire new way of living and absorbing information. So we're in a very interesting time to be alive, because we are at our age, in our 30s, we're in the middle right here. We were around in the 90s when it was all TV, and now we're in the transition period. And by the time we're 60, who knows? It's going to be a whole nother world. So, and that comes with the positives and negatives, getting your news from social media, because like we said in the media bias misinformation conversation we had, the news and the information is a lot of opinionated stuff. So now people are ingesting and digesting opinions before they are ingesting and digesting facts. So their opinions almost formed for them. So it's crazy. It's crazy what it's doing to everybody. It is wild.
Yeah, no,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, like how, like there's some crazy stories that we hear from people who, like, remember when Facebook took away everyone's like bots and took away like a bunch of like followers, and there was all these like influencers who were crying because they were no longer had like a certain amount of followers, which translates to like dollars, and so they were like literally crying because this lifestyle that they've created is fake, and they rely on they rely on people, and these bots clearly were the reasons why they were getting such high like counts and like comment counts. So some people are like crazy, and like unfortunately there's been people who have like literally like killed themselves because of the fact that they don't get enough comments or likes.
But also, I could dovetail that point to what you said about them removing accounts. So say someone has like 600,000 followers and they have sponsors, right? And that's what they do for a living. They're getting paid to just talk to people, to make funny videos, whatever it is. Political, it tends to be a lot of political people get their accounts hacked, shut down. So say you have 600,000 followers and you have Evian Spring Water is your sponsor. They're giving you $10,000 a month to put it in your videos. Now you don't have your 600,000 followers. Bam, that $10,000 a month is out the window. Now you got to go work at Starbucks. You know what I mean? So that puts
nothing wrong with Starbucks.
Nothing wrong with Starbucks. That puts. I'm just saying, you got to start over. You got to restart or you got to try to build up that following again. So that brings me to the point that we have created, they're almost godlike. They almost can take away people's livelihood with the click. And we put way too much power in their hands. And I think that's when Congress was getting involved last year in trying to talk to Zuckerberg and trying to talk to these big time social media moguls, was they were saying, you guys have way too much power here. You are the world is funneling through your systems, and you can just decide when to cut someone off or when to just say something's fake. The fact checking that's new now that they've been doing is so all over the map. I'm seeing stuff that's like, this is false information. I click it. I'm like, no, it's an opinion. It's not false information. So it's wild that they have so much control over the information and people's livelihoods, that they can create these platforms for themselves, and they can just be like, click, you're canceled because we just don't feel like you getting any money anymore, and whatever the reason is. So it's crazy what's going on, and that's a huge pro and con. You can make millions of dollars making videos, like hopefully we will one day. But what if we piss off Facebook? Is Zuck gonna zuck us? Oh, we got wrong. They're probably
we're gonna get zucked. We're gonna get zucked. Nothing we can do about that.
I mean, we've got a few hundred followers at every level on Facebook. Bam, we'd have to start from scratch if they didn't like something we said and they deleted our accounts. It's just they have too much power, and I don't like big government, but it's almost like this is almost as bad as big government, because they actually can control so much of our lives. Mm-hmm. Because people have become so ingrained in this being a part. Marco's saying, "Don't get zucked."
Yeah, don't get zucked. Yeah,
thanks for tuning in.
Zuck if we got zucked.
It would suck if we got zucked. Yes, it would.
Yeah. So what do we do about this? There's a couple things we like to talk at the end about different resources. What can we do about this whole social media problem? Well, if you're going to get zucked, you're going to get zucked. There's nothing really much you can do about that. Joe got blocked for a couple days, and it sucked. But
because I said nothing brings America together like making fun of dumb white trash people, and I got zucked for that.
And you got zucked, yes.
Because we were talking about Tiger King, and everybody came together making fun of the white trash.
Yes. And Tiger King was the ultimate bringer together of all views. It was just Tiger King. Thank you, Tiger King, for being the beginning of COVID.
Kept us sane
during the beginning
by seeing their insanity.
But anyways, there's other ways that you can keep yourself sane. We on the podcast, we love to promote mindfulness. So when you feel that anger coming towards other people on Facebook, great thing that you can do is pop on your Calm app or your Headspace app and try to calm yourself down. Don't let your Twitter fingers or your Facebook fingers go wild, fighting against people.
Easy with the fingers.
Easy with the fingers there. To make them go wild and go crazy against other people that probably won't change their minds anyways. So you're making yourself pissed off and having high blood pressure and angry for no reason. So turning social media off from time to time, definitely need to do that. Definitely need to turn social media off from time to time and have some Zen time. There's a great setting on my phone. I have the OnePlus. I have the OnePlus 7 Pro. Great setting on my phone. It's called Zen mode, where it shuts off any app and it locks it for a certain amount of time. And there is no password to unlock it until the time runs out. So I cannot break it.
I can't wait to do that to you next time you leave your phone lying around.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was
wow. I would never use that app on Sunday.
So anyways, if you would like that type of app, mine's already built into my system, but if you'd like that type of app for Android and iPhone, there's an app called Off Time. There's also an app called Moment, which does something very similar, where you can select certain apps that you want to detox from, and you can set a timer for it. There's also an app called Flipped. Same thing. It can make you distraction free. It's also great work from home if you're on Facebook instead of working from home and you'd like some time to be able to do some work without doing any of this stuff. The last app that I'm going to talk about is Freedom. It's called the Freedom app. And this Freedom app, it uses a VPN to block the internet from certain apps. So you'll still be able to access Facebook and you'll still be able to access Twitter. However, what you can do is you just won't get the most recent part. So it won't update as often. So you won't get notifications as often. You won't have that distraction as often as your Facebook buzzing every 5 seconds because, Trump said something dumb on Twitter. And every 3 seconds, yes. So the last thing, if you have a family or if you're out with friends, try to stay off your phone, try to be in the moment. A good thing that I saw, I've never done it before, but I've always wanted to, is everyone puts their phone in the middle when you're out to dinner with friends, and the first person to look at their phone pays the bill.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. I've heard of that.
That would require us to have friends, though.
Yeah, that would require us to have friends. Yeah, that would also require us to be able to go out to dinner. It would also require us to, be social without masks and yeah. So I recommend doing this after COVID. That would probably be a good thing.
Which is never. So this advice is never going to come to fruition. So I'm going to take the reins from Jonesy because we're coming up on our end time here, and I'm going to get the last word. All right, guys. So I have some notes here. Last word. Royal Society for Public Health did a study, and it was on anxiety, depression, sleep quality, body image, and cyberbullying. So a lot of negative things that happen to people based on social media addiction or just constant usage. 70% rise in anxiety and depression with avid social media avid social media users that are young people. Sleep quality is brought down. It has to do with the blue light coming off your screen, affects your brain waves, and it affects your sleep quality. Body image. 9 out of 10 females think that they have body image issues because of the images portrayed on social media. Cyberbullying. I was just saying before how people came and cyberbullied a little bit on my own posts because they didn't like my opinion. All of these things are really negative things that happen with social media, and it doesn't have to be this way. So take a break, take a step back, try not to get engaged in negativity. I know it's tough. I know it's tough on social media, but try to bring the positivity. I do my best. I've changed gears in how I approach social media, and for the most part, and I suggest you try to do it as well. It has helped my blood pressure go back down, plus the meds and the diet. But we'll pretend. So while social media has amazing positive applications, but it seems to also amplify the negative. You tend to see a lot more negativity on social media. So try not to be the negativity. Try to be the positivity. Try to bring some positivity. Post that dog video that I posted yesterday of the what's your name, Tony? And if you guys haven't seen that one,
it's a great one.
F you, Tony. What's your name? Ezekiel. F you, Ezekiel. It's just a great video. That had me laughing for 20 minutes. I think I watched it 30 times. That's the kind of stuff we need to get more into sharing. It also, social media has created a slacktivism. A lot of people feel like they're activists, feel like they're doing something, and they're really not. All they're doing is liking and sharing. Liking and sharing is great, and it brings attention and awareness to certain things. But if you are out there on social media just yapping about how this is a problem and that is a problem, and that's all you're doing, and you're not going out and donating your time to a soup kitchen or picking up the garbage that you see rolling across the parking lot, these are things that you can do. Like, oh, everything's a mess. I think we need to worry about the planet and get rid of plastic bags. And you're sharing all these links on why plastic's bad for the planet, but you walk past 10 pieces of garbage on your way to the car from Stop and Shop. I mean, you can be the activist and not the slacktivist. And I see a lot of people out there that think that they're doing good for the world by just spewing it out onto the internet, and it makes them feel better. And it makes you feel better to do that. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're helping, but also try to help. Try to be the change in the world. Try to not just say it, do it. Back up your words on social media and do the positive things. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Studies have shown all of them lead to negative feelings or often give negative feelings to people that often use them. For some reason, YouTube tends to bring people's positivity up. That's because on YouTube, you can go search for fun things and find the fun things and not come across a lot of negative things. So they say YouTube, so maybe take a break from Facebook. Maybe go onto YouTube for a while. Just look up funny dog videos. Let YouTube pull you out of the rut that Facebook and Instagram and Twitter have sucked you into. So they say YouTube is the most positive out of all the social media, according to studies. So just like most things in life, everything in moderation. You can enjoy social media, you can hate it, you can love it, but it needs to be in moderation. You got to give yourself a break sometimes. Just watch a movie with your phone in the other room. Watch a TV show with your phone in the other room. Give your mind a break. We all need a break from social media sometimes because it is so engulfing. It is so overtaking. And I think we all can do better. So that's my last word. Mic drop.
Well done, sir.
On that note, I thank everybody. We thank everybody for chiming in. And as we said early on, make sure you check out our link tree, linktr.ee/the TMI podcast. You get most of our links there. We are on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. West Coast, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is when we go live on Facebook and most of the social medias. But if you can't catch us on that, make sure you check us out and follow us on your your internet-based podcast supplier. If it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, any of those guys, most of the major ones we're on. Give us a follow, listen in the car on your way to work the next day. whenever. When the kids are getting annoying, just pop us on. We're family friendly. Turn the volume up. Leave them in the backseat crying. Donate to patreon.com/the TMI podcast, patreon.com, the TMI podcast, $5, $10, $20 a month will really help us out. If you like the show, we really appreciate that. If not, screw you guys. No, I'm just kidding. And hashtag join the discussion. That's what we like. We didn't get many comments this week. There must be something good on TV. Is the DNC on again tonight?
Probably.
Is that
4 nights.
How many nights?
4 nights.
Oh, great.
Oh, 4 nights? We had to fight against the DNC. No wonder.
No wonder. Most of our followers are political people, so that's why we had like 3 comments tonight. They're all busy watching the DNC. Well, we thank you guys for chiming in, tuning in, listening, following. Go check out our group. Our Facebook group pops up more in the news feed than the page does. It's just how the algorithm works. So find our group. We'll let you guys in there, and you guys can share some stuff in there as well. JC's killing it with the Total Meme Introspective on Instagram, and we try to put up memes in the group and on our page as well on Facebook and Twitter. Someone just message us and explain to us how to get better at Twitter, right? I mean, that's just
Twitter's hard.
Twitter's hard, guys. Help us with Twitter. And Matt Jones just accidentally knocked himself out of the feed. So JC and I would like to thank you guys. Tune in next time, and we will see you then.